I was sitting at the Thanksgiving table, surrounded by the smell of roasted turkey, and the sound of laughter watching my family celebrate their successes. My sister Brielle talked about her upcoming trip to France. My brother Justin bragged about his new apartment. My parents Dennis and Carol beamed with pride. Then Justin raised his beer, grinned, and said those words that would change everything. "At least I am not broke like Wesley." The table erupted in laughter. They had no idea I had been paying their bills for 2 years. They had no clue I was the reason they could afford their lifestyle. And in that moment, I decided they were about to learn the truth the hard way. Before I tell you how my family learned the truth the hard way, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe, because what happened next changed everything about how I see family loyalty. Now let me take you back to where this all started. I grew up in a middle-class family in Ohio. There were 3 of us kids. Brielle, my younger sister, was 28 and worked in marketing. Justin, my baby brother at 25, bounced between jobs more often than I could count. Then there was me, Wesley, 32 years old, working as a software engineer with a salary that put me comfortably in the 6-figure range. My parents, Dennis and Carol, had done their best to raise us right. But 5 years ago, everything changed when Dennis lost his job after his company went bankrupt. He never really recovered. The job market was not kind to men in their late 50s, and the positions he could find paid a fraction of what he used to make. Carol had her own struggles. Diabetes and high blood pressure meant she needed medications regularly, and those prescriptions were not cheap. Even with insurance, the copays added up fast. Between Dennis's reduced income and Carol's medical needs, my parents were drowning financially. I was the only one in the family with a stable, well-paying job. Brielle made decent money in marketing, but she always claimed her salary barely covered her expenses. Justin, well, he seemed to be perpetually between opportunities, as he liked to call it. 2 years ago, everything started when Dennis called me on a Tuesday evening. His voice was tight with embarrassment. "Son, I hate to ask, but we are a little short this month. The electric bill came in higher than expected, $350. Could you help us out just this?" Once I did not hesitate. "Of course, Dad. I will send it tonight." I transferred the money immediately through Venmo, feeling good about being able to help my parents when they needed it. I told myself it was a one-time thing. Families help each other. That is what you do. But the next month, Carol called about her medications. The pharmacy bill was $420, and they did not have it. Then, Justin needed help with his car payment. $280 to keep his vehicle from being repossessed. Then Brielle called about her rent. $800 or she would face eviction. Each time I said yes. Each time I transferred the money without complaint. I loved my family. I wanted them to be stable, to not worry constantly about money the way I had seen my parents worry when I was growing up. I started keeping track in an Excel spreadsheet, not because I expected to be paid back, but because I wanted to understand where my money was going. Each entry was simple: date, amount, purpose, family member. Over the course of 2 years, the numbers climbed. 10,000, 20,000, 40,000. By the time Thanksgiving rolled around, I had given my family over $58,000. I paid their electric bills, their internet service, their car insurance, their medical copays, their rent, their phone bills. It became routine. Someone needed help. They called Wesley, and Wesley handled it. I convinced myself this was my duty. I was the successful one. I had the good job. They needed help, and I could provide it. What kind of son, what kind of brother would I be if I said no? So I lived modestly. I rented a small 1-bedroom apartment for $1,200 a month. I drove a 2012 Honda that I had bought used. I cooked at home instead of eating out. I skipped vacations. I wore the same clothes for years. Not because I was broke, but because I was choosing to prioritize my family over myself. That choice seemed noble at the time. It seemed like what family was supposed to do. 6 months before that Thanksgiving dinner, I started noticing things that did not quite add up. I drove home for a weekend visit, pulling up to my parents' house on a Saturday afternoon. Brielle was there, and I noticed immediately the designer handbag she carried. Michael Kors, if I was not mistaken. The kind that retailed for around $400. "Nice bag," I commented casually. She smiled. "Oh, my new boyfriend got it for me." "Sweet, right?" I nodded, but my mind was already calculating. Just last month I had paid her phone bill. $115 because she said she was short on cash. That same weekend, Justin showed up talking excitedly about his new PlayStation 5. He had been trying to get one for months and he finally snagged it. $500, he announced proudly. I asked him how work was going and he shrugged. You know, between things right now. But I had some money saved up for this. I forced a smile and congratulated him, even though 3 weeks earlier I had sent him money to cover his car insurance because he claimed he was completely tapped out. That evening, we all sat in the living room watching television. Dennis complained about the cable bill. $180 a month for channels we barely watch, he grumbled. We need to cut costs somewhere. Carol nodded in agreement. Money is so tight these days. I sat there silently knowing that I had paid their internet bill and a significant portion of their electric bill just 2 weeks prior. The total had been $250. If money was so tight, why was the cable package still at the premium level? Later that night, I scrolled through social media and saw Brielle's Instagram update. She was at a trendy brunch spot downtown with friends, her plate artfully arranged with overpriced avocado toast and a fancy latte. The caption read, "Treating myself." A quick search told me that restaurant averaged $35 per person. Justin had posted, too, a picture from a concert he attended. The ticket prices for that show started at $150. I felt confused. Not angry yet, just genuinely puzzled. They had money for designer bags, gaming, consoles, brunches, and concerts, but they needed me to cover their basic bills. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe they were working hard to build their own lives. Maybe they were just bad at budgeting and prioritized the wrong things. Maybe I should just be glad I could help them enjoy life a little. I did not want to be the bitter older brother who resented helping his family. So I pushed the uncomfortable feelings aside and told myself to be grateful. I was in a position to support them. 3 months later, we gathered for Carol's 60th birthday party. It was a lovely afternoon at my parents' house with relatives and family friends filling the living room and spilling into the backyard. I arrived with my gift, a foot massager I had carefully selected because Carol often complained about pain in her feet after long days. It cost me $120, which I thought was reasonable and thoughtful. Brielle and Justin had gone in together on their gift, a beautiful silver bracelet that Carol unwrapped with genuine delight. "Oh, this is gorgeous. You two are so thoughtful and generous." She hugged them both, holding up her wrist to show everyone the sparkling jewelry. Later, I learned they had spent $300 on it. When Carol opened my gift, her reaction was noticeably different. "Oh, that is nice too, honey." She smiled, but it was polite rather than enthusiastic. She set the box aside and turned her attention back to the bracelet Brielle and Justin had given her. During dinner, Dennis stood up to make a toast. He talked about how proud he was of his children, how Brielle and Justin really knew how to treat their mother right, how they were doing so well for themselves. I sat there with my fork halfway to my mouth, feeling invisible. Just last week, Brielle had called asking for $600 to cover an unexpected dental bill. I had sent it without question. After the party ended, I offered to drive Carol home since Dennis had been drinking. On the drive, she brought up her prescriptions. "Wesley, I am going to need help with my medication refills next month. The cost is going up, about $300 total." I kept my eyes on the road and nodded. "Sure, Mom, I can help," she sighed. I wish I could afford it myself, but you know how tight money is for us. I wanted so badly to say, I just gave Brielle $600 last week for her dental work. But I swallowed the words and said nothing. 2 months later, the family group chat on WhatsApp became a source of constant frustration for me. Brielle posted pictures from a spa resort where she had spent the weekend. The hashtags gave it away. Weekend getaway treat yourself spa life. A quick search showed that resort packages started at $800. Justin posted a picture of brand new AirPods Pro still in the box. "Upgrade time," he captioned it. "Those cost $250. Carol commented on both posts. "My kids are so successful. I am so proud. I did not post anything. I never did. My life did not look Instagram-worthy because I was too busy funding everyone else's highlight reel." Then Justin sent a message directly in the chat. "Wesley, when are you going to treat yourself, man? You work so hard but never seem to have fun money." Brielle jumped in immediately. "Yeah, bro, maybe you need a better job, or learn to budget better. LOL. She actually wrote LOL, like my financial situation was a joke. I stared at my phone screen, reading those words over and over. Learn to budget better. I was sitting in my modest one-bedroom apartment furniture I had owned for 6 years, wearing a t-shirt I bought in college. I looked around at my simple life and felt something crack inside my chest. I opened my Excel spreadsheet. $53,000. That is how much I had given them at that point. I lived frugally, not because I had to, but because I chose to prioritize them. I drove a car from 2012 because I sent $800 a month to cover Brielle's rent. I skipped vacations because Justin needed car insurance. I bought generic groceries because Mom needed medications. I did not respond in the group chat. I could not find words that would not sound bitter or angry. That night, Dennis called. "Son, can you help with the car insurance this month? $520. Things are really tight right now." I agreed, but this time I asked a question. "Dad, is Justin working right now?" There was a pause. "He is between jobs. You know how it is. But you are doing well, so I knew I could count on you." The words stung. You are doing well. They thought I was doing well because I had a good job. They had no idea I was barely saving anything because I was supporting all of them. I wanted to scream Justin just bought AirPods for $250. But I did not. I just said okay and transferred the money. The following week my laptop started having serious problems. I needed it for work, and the repair estimate came to $600. I hesitated. I had just sent over $500 to my father. Could I afford both? I decided to make do with my current laptop a little longer. I would save up and get it fixed next month. That weekend, Brielle called. "Hey, can you lend me $400? My credit card bill is due, and I am a little short." I felt exhausted. "What about your salary, Brielle?" Her tone shifted, immediately becoming defensive. "I have expenses, Wesley. If you cannot help, just say so. Do not make me feel bad for asking." I closed my eyes and counted to 5. "I will send it tonight." "Thanks," she said quickly. "You are a lifesaver." Then she hung up. I sent the money, but this time the weight of it felt unbearable. They did not see me as generous. They saw my help as a given and entitlement. No one ever asked if I was okay financially. No one ever checked in to see if I needed anything. No one acknowledged the sacrifices I made. 2 weeks later, Carol called about her medications. $350 this time. During the conversation, she mentioned casually, "Justin is thinking about buying a motorcycle. He found a good deal online. $7,000. Something inside me snapped. A motorcycle. I thought he was struggling financially. Carol sounded confused by my tone. "Well, he has been saving a little here and there, and he deserves something nice, doesn't he? He works hard." I did not respond. I could not. Justin deserved something nice for working hard, but I worked 60-hour weeks and deserved to be called broke and mocked for being careful with money. The anger started building, then hot and insistent. I had been patient. I had been generous. I had been the dependable older brother and dutiful son. And in return, I was treated like a failure, like someone who needed financial advice, like someone to be pitied. The resentment that had been simmering for months finally reached a boiling point. I knew something had to change. I just was not sure yet what that change would look like. Thanksgiving Day arrived with clear skies and cold air. I drove to my parents' house, my mind already churning with the tension I had been carrying for weeks. Carol had prepared her traditional feast. The smell of roasted turkey filled the house, and the dining table was set beautifully with the good china that only came out for holidays. Everyone gathered around filling plates and pouring drinks. The conversation flowed easily, everyone in high spirits. Brielle was particularly animated, talking about her upcoming trip to France. She had booked flights and a hotel in Paris for 10 days. $4,500 total, she mentioned proudly. Justin interrupted to talk about his new apartment, a 2-bedroom place in a trendy neighborhood. $1,400 a month, but it is worth it. So much nicer than my old place. Dennis chimed in about the new television he wanted to buy. 85 inches, he said, eyes wide with excitement. $1,800, but we have been saving up. Carol nodded enthusiastically. We deserve something nice, after these tough years. The conversation eventually turned to me. So Wesley, someone asked any exciting plans coming up. Anything new? I shook my head. Just work. Saving up. The response felt inadequate the moment I said it. Justin laughed, taking a long drink from his beer. Dude, you are always saving but never doing anything. What is the point of money if you do not spend it? Brielle nodded in agreement. Honestly, Wesley, you need to live a little. We work hard and we play hard. You should try it sometime. Dennis decided to add his wisdom. Maybe Wesley needs a financial advisor. Someone to teach him about budgeting better, making his money work for him. Carol looked at me with what I recognized as pity. I worry about you, honey. You seem so limited in what you do. Trapped almost. I felt my jaw tighten, my hands gripping my fork too hard. Limited. Trapped. Because I was not posting vacation pictures, or buying motorcycles, or planning European adventures. Then Justin raised his beer bottle, a stupid grin on his face. Well, at least I am not broke like Wesley. The room went silent for just a moment. Then Brielle giggled. Dennis chuckled and shook his head. Justin, that is not nice, but he does need to work on his spending habits. Carol tried to be diplomatic. Now, Wesley is just careful with money. There is nothing wrong with that. But her tone suggested there was something wrong with it. Something to be pitied. I sat frozen in my chair, feeling like I had been punched in the stomach. They thought I was broke. They genuinely believed I struggled financially. While I paid their bills, covered their emergencies, funded their comfortable lives, they thought I was the one who needed help. I stood up slowly, my chair scraping against the floor. Excuse me, I need some air. No one seemed concerned. I walked out onto the front porch, the cold November air hitting my face. My hands were shaking. Not from cold, but from the realization of how completely they had misunderstood everything. How thoroughly they had taken me for granted. I pulled out my phone and opened the Excel file I had been maintaining. $58,300. Over 2 years. I scrolled through the entries. Electric bills for Dennis and Carol 15 consecutive months. Carol's medications 18 separate times. Brielle's rent 11 months. Justin's car payments, insurance, phone bills, too many to count. Countless emergencies that somehow only I could solve. Standing there in the cold, something crystallized in my mind with perfect clarity. I was done. Not angry in a hot, explosive way. More like cold, calm resolution. I had given them 2 years. 2 years of chances to appreciate what I was doing. 2 years of opportunities to treat me with respect. They had chosen instead to mock me, to pity me, to see me as less than them. That ended now. I walked back inside, my decision made. I sat down at the table and finished my meal in silence. When it was time for dessert, I stood up again. I am heading out early. Long drive home. Carol looked disappointed. Already. But we have not had pie yet. I will take a rain check, I said simply. No one noticed the finality in my voice. No one picked up on the shift. I hugged everyone goodbye, got in my car, and drove home. The whole drive I felt lighter than I had in months. I knew exactly what I was going to do. The next morning I sat at my desk at home with my laptop open. I pulled up my bank account and started canceling automatic payments. Internet service for my parents $80 per month canceled. The portion of their electric bill I covered $120 per month canceled. I went through Venmo and Zelle, turning off any recurring transfers, blocking future payment requests. Then I opened a note on my phone and typed out a message. But I did not send it. Not yet. I wanted them to realize on their own first. I wanted them to feel the absence before I explained it. I did not announce my decision. I did not send a dramatic text or make phone calls. I simply stopped. Stopped sending money. Stopped responding to requests. Silence. The first week passed quietly. I focused on my work, hitting the gym after the office, cooking elaborate meals for myself just because I could. I felt a strange sense of peace. The second week, Dennis called. Hey son, the internet bill is overdue. We got a notice. Can you handle it like usual? I took a breath. No, I cannot. There was confusion in his voice. What? Why not? I kept my tone even. I am broke, remember. According to Justin at Thanksgiving. Dennis laughed nervously. That was just a joke, Wesley. Come on. I did not laugh back. I took it seriously. I am focusing on my limited finances now. Budgeting better like you suggested. I hung up before he could respond. Carol sent a text message about her medications 2 days later. I need to refill my prescriptions. Can you send $300? I typed back slowly, deliberately. I cannot help this month. My budget is tight. Her response came quickly. But I need these medications, Wesley. This is important. I understand, I replied. I hope you find a solution. Brielle texted about rent. Wesley landlord is asking about this month. Can you cover me? $800. I did not respond at all. Justin called about his car insurance. I let it go to voicemail. He left a message asking for $520, saying it was urgent. I deleted the message without calling back. The silence from my end was intentional, absolute. I was done explaining. Done justifying. Done carrying the weight of their financial irresponsibility while they mocked mine. 2 weeks later, my phone started ringing constantly. Dennis called 6 times in one day. Carol left voicemails that grew increasingly desperate. Brielle sent a string of text messages that went from confused to angry to pleading. Justin tried to reach me through social media. I responded to none of it. Then the messages started coming that showed the consequences of my absence. Dennis texted that their internet had been shut off. They did not understand why, since they thought the bill was being paid. Carol called crying because she could not afford her medications and had to delay getting them, which was affecting her blood sugar levels. Brielle left a voicemail saying her landlord had given her an eviction notice for being 2 months behind on rent. Justin's car insurance had lapsed, and he received a warning that his vehicle could be repossessed. I read each message with a calm detachment. I felt bad for Carol's medical situation genuinely, but I also knew that if they had been honest about their finances, if they had not been spending on luxuries while depending on me for necessities, none of this would be happening. I sent one text to the family group chat. "I thought you all were doing so well. Successful, as Mom said. I hope you can figure things out." The responses came flooding in. Confusion, anger, accusations that I was being cruel and petty. I muted the conversation and went back to my life. At the end of the second month, I heard a knock on my apartment door. I looked through the peephole and saw Dennis standing there looking older and more tired than I remembered. I opened the door, but did not invite him in. "We need to talk," he said. "What is going on, Wesley?" I leaned against the door frame. "Nothing is going on. I am just being broke, like Justin said." "That was not," he started, then stopped. "We did not mean it like that." I raised an eyebrow. "Funny." It felt pretty clear to me. I could see him struggling to find words. Finally, I decided to just say it. "All of it. For 2 years, I paid $58,000 toward your bills. I paid your internet, your electricity, Mom's medication, Brielle's rent, Justin's car payments, phone bills, insurance, emergencies that were not really emergencies." I paused, watching his face go pale. "And while I did that, you all thought I was broke. You mocked me. You pitied me. You thought you were better than me because you spent money on trips and toys while I spent mine keeping you afloat." Dennis opened his mouth, but no sound came out. "I lived in a small apartment." I continued, my voice steady. "I drove an old car. I skipped vacations. I wore the same clothes for years. Not because I was broke, but because I was sacrificing for you, and you repaid me with humiliation." Dennis seemed to crumple, his shoulders sagging. "Wesley, we did not know." I shook my head. "You did not know because you never asked. You never appreciated it. You took and assumed it would always be there. You saw me as less than you because I was not showing off." Dennis tried again. "We thought you were just being responsible. We did not realize you were sacrificing. That is the problem," I said quietly. "You did not realize because you did not want to see it." It was easier to think I was broke than to acknowledge that I was holding this family together financially. I told him I needed space and closed the door. I heard him standing there for a moment, before his footsteps retreated down the hall. Over the next week, they each came to apologize. Carol showed up crying, saying she never realized how much I had done, how she had failed to see my sacrifices. She felt terrible about the comments about taking me for granted. Brielle arrived looking genuinely ashamed. She admitted she had been selfish, that she had gotten too comfortable depending on me while judging my lifestyle. She said she was working on getting a second job to catch up on bills. Justin wrote me a long letter that he slipped under my door. In it, he acknowledged that his joke at Thanksgiving was cruel and ignorant. He apologized for not recognizing what I had been doing for the family. He was trying to get his life together, he wrote, and he understood if I never wanted to help him again. They all asked if I could forgive them. I met with each of them separately and told them the same thing. "I forgive you. But things will be different now." I explained that I would no longer be their financial safety net. They were adults and needed to live within their means. I told them I would help Mom and Dad with true emergencies, medical needs that could not be delayed. But the gravy train for everyone else had permanently left the station. They accepted this, though I could see the adjustment was painful for them. Good. It needed to be. 6 months passed. I maintained healthy distance from my family, seeing them only occasionally. When I did visit, the dynamic had completely changed. No one made comments about my lifestyle choices. No one mocked my old car or modest apartment. There was a new respect in how they spoke to me, a careful appreciation that had not existed before. I did help my parents a few times with Carol's medications, but only after confirming they had cut unnecessary expenses and truly needed assistance. I did not help Brielle or Justin at all. They were capable adults who needed to learn financial responsibility. The lesson was harsh, but necessary. With the money I was no longer sending to my family, I started investing in myself. I booked a trip to Iceland, something I had wanted to do for years. $3,200 for 10 days of exploring glaciers and northern lights. I bought a new laptop for work. I started contributing significantly to my retirement fund. I upgraded my wardrobe. Not to show off, but because I deserved to enjoy the money I earned. My family learned to live within their actual means. Dennis picked up part-time consulting work. Brielle moved to a cheaper apartment and started budgeting properly. Justin finally found steady employment and kept it. Carol learned to use generic medications where possible and prioritized her health spending. The lesson I learned through all of this was profound and painful. I learned that generosity without boundaries becomes exploitation. That staying silent about sacrifice can be mistaken for weakness. That real family respects your contributions instead of mocking them. I learned that sometimes people need to lose your support to understand its value. And perhaps most importantly, I learned that I needed to lose their approval to remember my own worth. I am not angry anymore. I am at peace with my choices, both the generous years and the firm boundaries I set afterward. Sometimes the people who love you need to lose you to learn your worth. And sometimes you need to lose them to remember your own. That is what happened at my Thanksgiving table, and honestly, I have never felt more free. Have you ever been taken for granted by family? How did you handle it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more real stories about life, family, and finding your strength. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope it reminds you that your worth is not determined by how much you give, but by how much you respect yourself. Take care of yourself out there, and remember that boundaries are not selfish, they are survival.